Okay, this is my first rant video. I got this in the mail today. It's a notice of detention. They've detained 5 of my knives in a package that was sent from China. In this document, it says they were declared as an electronic component. That's the reason for detaining it. And then once they detained it, they wanted to determine admissibility of these knives into Canada. I phoned the number that they have on the document, and 4 out of the 5 knives have been rejected. They will not be allowed into Canada because of this centrifugal force law that we have. That means if in the office at the Canada Border Services Agency that day, there is some guy who's got the ultra skill of being able to get a knife to open by simply holding onto the frame, and it opens to the point of him being able to get it to lock, or her if there's somebody that's particularly skilled. Whoever the very skilled knife opener is there that day, you know, if they can grab the knife and they can get it to open somehow, and grab all the different knives they can find. If they can get the knife to open just by, flinging on the knife, and it opens up to the locked position, that knife is illegal in Canada. We're allowed to carry, I could carry a 17-inch Tanto, Japanese style blade if I wanted to in public. There's no law against that. I could have any kind of long kitchen knife on my person at any time, as long as I'm not trying to conceal that I'm carrying it. No problem at all. But you take a 2-inch knife into Canada that some border services agent can flick open somehow, and that will be deemed illegal. I don't know how they determine this centrifugal force thing. I don't believe they've got some standardized piece of equipment that'll put the exact same amount of force on every knife that they test, so that there'll be some kind of standard legitimate test. Or if they do, as I assume, just find the best guy at flicking open knives that's at work that day, and if he can get them to open to the locking position without touching the blade in any way, then they're illegal. In any case, it's a very dumb law, because we're allowed to have all kinds of knives that are much more dangerous than a 2 or 3-inch knife that some guy can flick open. It's just ridiculous that this knife's on the books, but it's there, and so they will follow it to a T. And I want the Border Services Agency to follow the law properly to the T. I don't want them to, that's the law, follow the law. What I don't want is dumb law, and that's what I'm ranting against, this dumb law. And I'm also ranting against how the law is tested in each particular case. I would like to see, if they're going to keep that law, some kind of standardized test that they can do that will be done the exactly same way every single time, so that we have some way of finding out if this is really a knife that can open by centrifugal force or not. You see, I've got arthritis in my hands, and a knife that, Officer Joe can open with centrifugal force, I probably can't open with centrifugal force. Or my wife can't open it with centrifugal force. Or anybody else who hasn't practiced the art of the proper way of, flicking their wrist and flinging their arm and, whatever contortions is required. They're doing this test based on a specific individual who can find a way to make the knife open. And I'm against that as well. We need to have some kind of true and honest standard so that vendors can test to see if their knives will fail that test or not. so that stores can determine which knives they want to carry, so that individuals can say, yeah, I can't get that knife, because it's not going to be valid. So my friend or my cousin or other relative who lives in the US, nope, sorry, you can't send me that knife because if it happens to get caught at the border, they're going to take it away, or I'll have to find some place to send it or whatever. So my choices for those 4 knives are that I can export them out of Canada. So I'll probably send them to some collector that's in the US somewhere, because I either have to send it back to the vendor, which is going to cost me even more in shipping because that's off the continent, than it does to ship it down to the US. Or I can let them destroy it. And those are my 2 main. I can appeal. And if I appeal it, I can almost guarantee it that I will lose, unless there's anybody out there, especially if there's any Canadians. And I wish I had way more subscribers right now because more of you would hear about this. Is there any Canadian out there who has appealed this kind of ruling by the Border Services Agency about a centrifugal knife that is really just, either a flipper or, some other kind of knife that you open with your pocket, and it's either got a liner lock or an axis lock or, frame lock, whatever. But that it's not designed for centrifugal opening. It's actually designed for other opening, but under very specific circumstances, an individual might be able to flick it open. If you've had that kind of knife denied by the border agency and you've appealed it and have been successful, I definitely want to hear from you. Please send me a private message on Facebook there, or to my email address, which is canadiancuttingedge@gmail.com. I'd really like to hear from you. So that's my rant. I'm not really going to be out that much money because the knives are some of the Chinese made knives, so it's not that expensive. But I live on a disability pension. I earn extra money doing odd jobs a little bit to do my knife collecting, and it just sucks that I'm going to have to send those knives away, and I won't be able to get them. It just sucks. Anyhow, as this rant ends, always remember, cut towards your chum and not your thumb. Bye now.